Hola Bandidos! Welcome to Mel's Magic. I'm Magic Mel, and this is Owl, my spirit guide. Welcome to episode 14 of season 5. Have you noticed my smoke effect going on there? I'm constantly improving. No, it's my Palo Santo to create a bit of ambiance for me and for you. How are you doing? How are you feeling? I'm feeling quite grounded. I'm feeling excited to be here with you, to share this space with you. And excited because I've done a lot of homework recently. It's the end of 2022, so I am an avid journaler. Journaler? I'm writing and writing and writing because by externalizing my thoughts and thought processes, I can see them with more objectivity. And I can see what is going on in my head and change it if necessary. So, yeah, I have about, I think, 16 journal books from last year. Next time I'll show you. And I took them out yesterday and looked at the stack in front of me, and I was like, wow. Browsed through one of the early ones of 2020 and acknowledged that I've come a long way. It's been a painful process, to be honest, but a worthwhile one. I would not trade it for anything else out there. I've come to realize that the abundance is already there. I am abundant. I'm an infinite being. If my inner world is not healthy, wealthy, rich, prosperous, harmonious, peaceful, content, then my outer world will not reflect that. We got to realize that we're precious and prosperous beings, that everything starts from here. If you haven't been journalizing, I encourage you to do so, because you really realize what you're telling yourself and what kind of thoughts your mind is regurgitating. I'm making a conscious effort to write my own story, because we are the authors of our own lives. It's like a crazy epic script, film. You can even title it the way you want. But do you realize that you are writing your own story? That nobody out there has the power to do so? Well, they have been, but we're reclaiming our power. That's why you're also watching this, no? It's not by chance that you're here. What I realized long ago when I met an artist in Bangkok, I used to live in Bangkok for like 10 years, 9 years. The way he was talking, he was a street artist. He kept on saying, amazing, amazing. And it struck me. I was fascinated by that. I reflected also and realized that I don't really say amazing a lot. Now, in my current vocabulary, the predominant vocabulary is magical, prosperous, abundant, joyful, amazing. And that's really what my life feels like. My words are a reflection of my feeling. Feelings come first. That's also something I learned by watching Karaoke's videos. I'm going to reference some of her videos down there because I've been doing, as I said, a lot of homework, a lot of studying. I feel like a student again, this eternal student of life. The feelings come first. Like I did in my last episode last 2 episodes where I shared with you that I was trying to analyze my feeling of pain. And the analysis is a secondary process. First, we need to come in touch with our feelings, connect with our feelings. Then we can put words on it if we want to. But to be stuck on the intellectual, mental, conceptual plane is not sufficient for healing. That's also something I learned. I used to be so up in my head, super academic. But that's not enough. We got to embody the truth. The truth has to be felt. It has to feel like resonance because we are primarily energetic beings. Karaoke also said something interesting about affirmations, and I've been doing that. No, I am so-and-so and this and that. The intention or the purpose with affirmations is to trick our subconscious mind into believing that we are so-and-so. The thing is though, if we don't feel it, you can tell yourself, I'm confident, I'm confident, I'm confident. If you don't feel it, ça sert à rien. I'm not saying affirmations are not useful. But what perhaps is called for first is to ask ourselves, well, why am I not feeling confident? What is it that is resisting this feeling, that belief? And then work with that, accept that. For example, I used to, in the past, feel, not only not enough, but awkward and shy. I'm not saying shy is not good. You won't believe it. People won't believe me when I tell them I used to be like the most timid child. My mom used to drag me to ballet lessons, and I used to get physically sick out of nerves because I did not want to perform. And here I am. Look at this. But what I'm saying is, instead of pushing away or denying or suppressing or rejecting what we're truly feeling and overlaying it with affirmations that don't really stick because something deeper is going on here, why not work with the deeper root cause first, i.e. the feeling of not being enough or the feeling of being unworthy or the feeling of being awkward. Look at that feeling, accept it, allow some space for it to be there without judgment, because judgment creates feeling of shame, which I'm sure you're also familiar with. But just allowing that feeling of not enoughness to be there. What we do when we allow for that feeling to be there is to create spaciousness and to disidentify from that story that is basically our ego telling itself, I'm not enough, I'm not worthy, I am. So if you could take this observer stance, you realize, oh, the I am is much bigger than this narrator. And then you can ask the narrator, well, where is this coming from, this storyline that you keep on telling yourself? Well, I got rejected in the past. Well, so-and-so hurt me. Well, my parents didn't love me enough. Okay, at least we know what we're working with now. There is some substance to the case, no? We're not working with the symptoms. We're going down to the root cause. So what I found out in my own journey was that it's quite ironic. I always thought, looking back, that I had the perfect childhood. Seriously. I live in a beautiful place. My parents went out of their way to provide for me materially, sent me to university, all of that. But only in hindsight did I realize that it was highly toxic. The environment I grew in was highly, highly toxic. And of course, a child's brain does not know how to deal with that. And what we do as children is to blame ourselves for the lack of love or peace that is missing between our parents or our own parents' emotional struggle. We internalize that and we feel, oh, if I can't make it better, something must be wrong with me. So I had this very deeply ingrained pattern, conditioning, and defense mechanism of not feeling worthy enough. Well, it wasn't a defense mechanism, it was more a result of my defense mechanism. In any case, going back to the feeling, let's say the way I operate now is, I had to confront that sensation or that belief that I cannot, for example, speak in public, that I'm incompetent. And I really had to dissect that. Well, where did that come from in the first place? Is it even my belief? Or did somebody tell me that and I just adopted that belief? We got to distinguish these voices in our psyche. And I never endorse putting on band-aids. I mean, they do help in physical life, but it's not about curing anymore. It's about healing. And healing is about wholeness. And wholeness can only occur when we integrate things, when we release blockages. Oof, kind of went on a tangent here, but yeah, this is all of reflections that I'm going through. Maybe I'll do a separate episode on what I've learned, the precise points that for me personally were milestones in my growth this year, because it has been exponential. It's been incredible this year. And I'm fine-tuning my process. Where am I? Karaoke also has a video where she suggests us asking ourselves 7 essential questions. Some of them was, I can go through it. In what way am I still neglecting myself? How often have I said no to others? How often am I saying yes to myself? Just as important, no? So here are the questions. I'll link the video downstairs in the description box. Question number 1, where am I still neglecting myself? I had to think about that. For me, it was maybe, the diet thing, but I told you about my radical move into plant-based diet, and then realizing, for example, here, this is a half-finished peanut butter jar, realizing that I was compensating for this enforced goal of, okay, we're going plant-based, peanut butter is plant-based, I can just in the meantime I was like, oh my god, pimples break out again. So maybe, okay, let's go to the essence of what Karaoke was saying. The basis of what we're striving for is a base resonance of self-love, self-honoring. So in my peanut butter binge example, that was a compensation because I was coming from a sense of obligation and you have to and we should only eat that. And as you may have come across in your own life, that kind of backfires because it's an externally imposed imposition. Whereas if we switch it around and don't punish, for example, I felt shame after eating so much peanut butter. I'm like, oh my god, Melanie, what the hell? Can you not control yourself? But that part in me that was craving this peanut butter, what was it, dates and raw 100% cacao chocolate. Oh my god, it's such a perfect combo in moderation. I went overboard with that. But I looked at it again. I went down and sat with that part of me and said, okay, why are you doing this? What need is not being met here? How am I not honoring myself here? And an aspect of me said, I'm scared to be ungrounded. I'm scared to be under control. And I'm scared to lose touch with the pleasure of tastes and eating. And I'm not saying plant-based cannot be pleasurable, but that was the fear. That was the resistance that was in me. That kind of backfired because it was no use eating like salads and trying to clear my skin and then totally go crazy on the peanut butter jar. But instead of judging myself and saying, oh my god, how can you do that? I sat with it. I said, okay, so what's going on here? Let's have a conversation with myself. And that alone is a huge exponential growth step from my previous modus operandi where I would shame myself for not sticking to a discipline or a program or whatever template I was trying to follow. Not shaming ourselves for our behavior or our reactions is key to going up the vibrational scale. Acceptance, non-judgmental acceptance of the situation is a huge doorstep pathway to self-honoring. So to love myself through the mishaps and through the messiness and through the experimentation And then taking stock, okay, what worked, what didn't work. I also came to realize that maybe plant-based doesn't work for me. How about I just eat intuitively? Do I trust my body enough to guide me? Am I connected enough to my body? Do I trust it to guide me and know what is good for it without imposing the strict external thing? Or how about finding some kind of balance, maybe? It's all about balance. And I know it's so easy to say. But can we even honor us going to one or the other extreme to experiment and to experience what that feels like, to then find a middle path? Can we not go into extreme self-criticism or self-berating and then not go into victimhood and self-pity? Can we find an accountability middle stance and say, look at what we did, look at our actions, see what worked, what didn't work without judgment, and then choose from this non-judgmental space with the motivation of honoring ourselves. What is in my highest good? And what if we mess up? What if we go and skip a day of whatever, I don't know, diet plan or whatever? Was soll es? It should not make you feel worthless or less valuable or a failure. That's how I would treat myself in the past. I would be so strict with myself. And then if I would stumble a little bit, I would just quit entirely. I mean, it was very extreme cases. Because my internal dialogue was such that it was this authoritative, disciplinarian, superego. It was not coming from a loving, higher self aspect. And I feel that's really my challenge at the moment, to not love myself only when I'm doing things and acting and behaving in the way that is congruent with my highest ideal. No, how about loving myself for whatever is and for whatever shape I'm taking in right now, together with the mistakes, because of the mistakes. The problem with being a perfectionist also, and I used to be when I'm still dismantling that program, is I never even take any step because I already think, oh, it has to be good. It better be good. And that completely blocks me. So I'm also doing these videos. I just put it out there. I do a lot of research and contemplation, self-reflection, but I trust myself enough that in the moment, the right words will come out, the right flow will happen without me going through every little step like I did in the yin and yang part 2 video, where it was 2 in my head, obviously. I tried to force and curse and control the flow. It doesn't work. It's called flow for a reason, no? Can we allow ourselves to experiment, to be messy, to stumble in our self-discovery, and to not be so rigid with our self-concept? That's what I'm also working on consciously. Allow myself more space. Allow myself to bring out the quirkiness, the loudness, the academic part if need be, the charming, the empathetic, the teacher cap. I used to be a teacher. Everything from elementary to university, can you imagine? But I don't want to coerce myself into one rigid mold. I have to be like this. How rigid is that? And whose mold is that anyway? Probably society's. That mold is called pretense. And the label is, please accept me. Screw that. I accept myself first and foremost with all of my facets, my multidimensionality, my multilinguistic cultural background, todo, alles. I'm done with being one-dimensional. I'm done trying to belong. That's this huge theme of my entire life. I'm sure you can relate to that. Trying to belong. Such a human need, and it's a valid need. But you can't belong to something if you're not even connected to your true belonging, which is your heart space. Home is here. Come home to yourself first, and then you will resonate in such a way that you will attract those who resonate on the same frequency, and they're also home. They have found themselves, and you interdependence. We vibe, same vibration. We gotta embody the kind of resonance that is congruent with our true self, our heart space, the divine as well. And if we feel there is some resistance or a blockage, not suppress it and deny it and reject it and shun it. Because then we relay those aspects into the shadow. And do you know about shadow theory, Carl Gustav Jung? What happens with the shadow? That shadow is in the subconscious and it operates from subconscious. It's still there. Our conscious mind is just not aware of it. And that's when it gets dangerous. That's when we get anger outbursts or crazy holocausts or wars. This is serious stuff, guys. Integrate our shadow. Integrate all of our aspects. That's what being human, for me, is about. My motto, my lema every day is like, every day I'm going to allow myself to be more myself. And I don't even know how that's going to look like because I'm a work in progress. But it's about allowing rather than resisting and rejecting and denying. So I also told you about my peanut butter binge. I'm not perfect. I'm pretty damn rad, yeah. But I'm not perfect. I'm not striving to be perfect anymore. Yeah, authenticity is a congruence of what I'm showing you here and how I deal with my life. Integrity, inner integrity, outer integrity. It's not like I'm presenting you with something and then I go off and do something completely different or act completely different. That is cognitive dissonance. And if we keep on rejecting and suppressing whatever is real in us in the moment, we call it coping. And I'm done with coping mechanisms. They make us sick. Well, Bandidos, where is this going? Yeah, so I'm really dismantling a lot of patterns and conditioning and thought processes, the colonizer in my head, the patriarchy in my head, the capitalism in my head. I mean, all these labels. But basically, it's the not self. And how do I do that? I do that by going into my feeling. To become intimate with how I'm feeling in the moment, or what does resistance also feel like? Personally, it's this contraction, it's this malaise, it's my stomach doing weird knots. It's a kind of shrinking away. Something doesn't feel right or somebody doesn't feel right. It's like, Urgh. Expansion, allowing is this expansive, elated, light-hearted frequency. And that's where I want to head, or where I'm heading, or where I am. Definitely, I feel my baseline has definitely shifted upwards. And that is actually, I feel we also got to get over this notion that honoring ourselves is not good for others. What does that even mean? I can be, when I'm in my highest expression, is when I can reach and inspire the most people. When I'm in my highest expression is when I can share my wisdom. It's when I'm most abundant that I can give more and share more. But first, I fill my own cup. Because when we come from lack, when we're exhausted and depleted and do stuff out of obligation, we're not actually doing something good for the other person either. We're enabling. And we are sending out the signal that it's okay to deplete myself for the sake of something else. Self-sacrifice. Ugh. No. We are responsible to other people, but first we are responsible to ourselves. We're not responsible for. So if I'm in my highest expression, I can be of the greatest benefit to all. That's how we need to look at things. That's this concept of oneness, no? If we're all interconnected and all interrelated, no sirve para nadie if I'm exhausted and depleted and small and silent. It doesn't do the greater weave, the greater humanity any good. And it took some overcoming of myself. For example, had I bought into the belief or thought that I have nothing valuable to say, I would not be posting these videos. Or it's dangerous to be visible, I would not be posting these videos. So I really had to deconstruct these fears that were there and remind myself what is the bigger purpose, because I do have a bigger purpose. I made a pact with the highest. I'll tell you about that one day. My purpose and my self-love and my faith is greater than my fears. Doesn't mean that the fears are not there and the, what do you call it, stuff? Insecurities. I still have them, but I don't buy into them anymore. Yeah, I cannot ask from someone else also what I cannot give myself. So when I feel rejected or abandoned, which has occurred several times, it's an old pattern of mine where I feel rejected, I really sat down with that shadow part and got to the root of it. The rejection in the 3D is only a mirror of what I'm internally doing to myself. So first, I need to accept and love myself, and then I can communicate that to other people, how to treat me. Then I cannot control that, I can communicate that. But let's say I come from a base resonance of high self-worth, self-honoring, self-love. It doesn't matter anymore how the other person reacts, because I'm congruent, I'm solid in here. If this is not solid, that's how I used to be, so malleable and shakeable and influenceable and gullible, anything could shake me. The roots have to go deep. Your core has to be strong and solid, unshakable. That's what we're working on. Yeah, and validate yourself. I validate myself first. I had to ask myself too, am I doing these videos to gain admiration? Well, in a way, yeah, dude, I'm super cool. How about that? I have something to say. I have a talent of communicating things in a fun way. Yeah, why not accept that? I'm not gonna be like this. Yeah, oh no, I'm demure, downplaying my own talents. Screw that. But the deeper message is, as I said, I know that this is valuable. If you admire me, good on you and good on me. But I'm not pending my worth on that. Because if I pin my worth on that, then I'm always coming from a sense of lack and I'm always running after something. I always come from a space of neediness. I am complete. You are complete. You already are abundant. But let's look at the things that are blocking you from your own abundance. I'm doing the same process. When we clear our patterns in our programming, you don't even have to move or go out there to do anything. You suddenly perceive your reality. You perceive things that you didn't perceive before. I'm doing that as well while I'm decluttering. I'm like, damn, I didn't even realize I had that. When I observe myself, I'm like, damn, I didn't realize I have so many talents and skills. That I'm so precious and so valuable, that I have so many resources, and that the world needs my resources, that I would not do anyone any good if I would downplay and reject my talents and skills. It would be an insult to life and the universe. How about that? Somebody also said, if there is a concept of sin, I'm not going into religious terminology, but if you keep your gifts to yourself, that is a sin. And I agree. Because you and I and everyone out there has something so unique, a unique way of looking at things, a unique way of doing things that nobody else can do but you. And if you keep that to yourself, or if you go into self-denial and self-betrayal and mold yourself into something that society wants, and you repress your own gifts, you are creating more lack in the universe, in the world. See where I'm going? And yeah, that would be sinful. Sinful in the way it's only going to harm you and it's going to harm the world. How are we doing with time here? Where do I have space in my life for more personal responsibility? So let's go back to my plant-based, going extreme plant-based and then binge eating on my peanut butter. One extreme was, me self-criticizing, oh, I messed up, I can't keep a regime, blah, 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 blah. The other end was this self-pity thing or self-sabotage. The middle path was accountability. And going back to the notion of choice. I'm doing this out of choice rather than obligation. No one is telling me what to do, but I want to do this. Why? To alleviate the general suffering of sentient beings, the whole, food production industry. There are valid reasons why I would choose to eat more vegetables. My health, my skin, everything, my vibration, everything. Purifying. But I'm working on the resistance. And I'm allowing myself to just really go with my intuition. The thing is, I also felt that in my past, that I shirked from responsibility because I associated responsibility with blame and shame. It's like this moral ethic critic screaming at you, you can't do that, you should be like this. Oh my God, it creates so much repression. But by doing that, by associating responsibility with blame and punishment, we're basically indemnifying ourselves from responsibility. And true responsibility has to do with taking back our power. I'm realizing that freedom and power comes from my choices. And not necessarily doing everything, but choosing how to spend my time and who with. And yeah, that means deciding, which means cutting things away, things that I do not have time for. And by choosing and committing, it doesn't mean it's restricting my freedom. No, by choosing intentionally and consciously, I am enacting my freedom of choice. So by flipping this paradigm of you must to I choose, that is when we talk about empowerment, personal empowerment. You must is someone else screaming at you. Internal psychic critic or external. I choose comes from a place of sovereignty. And this personal responsibility comes with not blaming or shaming, to just looking at what works, why, and what didn't work and why, and being objective about that without adding judgment. The middle way is the way of self-compassion, of self-awareness and self-leadership, because then you can come from this empowered space where you make your choices from this congruence with, again, self-love. I'm doing this because I honor myself, not because I have to. I honor my health, my body. I honor how this choice affects other people, other beings, my environment. So there's so much to deconstruct, guys, honestly. I don't know where you're at in your personal journey. I really do hope you would comment more. In my last video, or 2 videos ago, I got a comment. Again, it's not that I'm depending on feedback, but I don't know what you're thinking, what you're feeling, or if anything of this resonates with you. If it does, comment, please. I'd love to hear your opinion. Okay, going back to self-honoring. Self-honoring also raises our standards of how we treat ourselves and how we ask others to treat ourselves. Again, it starts with us, because I need to have that base resonance. If I don't have this base resonance, even if somebody treats me with respect, I would reject it, because there's nothing to stick. The resonance, like attracts like. First, I become what I want to see and be in the world, and then I will attract that and magnify that and co-create with that. So the focus is on empowering and embodying my light. You do the same. It's not about fighting against or pushing against. No, come back to your center and embody the values, the principles, the truths that resonate with your deepest core. And then you attract everything. The same with co-creating our reality. I've stopped chasing after things, and I've reminded myself, if I can be the abundant being that I truly am, to really be that though, from the conscious into the subconscious, so to take those thoughts, those affirmations and really embody them, then I'm going to resonate, I'm going to vibrate on the abundant and the joyful frequency. I don't have to do much, because being in that frequency, I will attract the abundance and the prosperity and the joy. See where I'm getting at? Again, Karaoke makes this wonderful, wonderful analysis on the topic. Another question she prodded us to look at was this: have I practiced saying no to others? And this whole self-honoring lesson has been one of my greatest lessons. For me, the sitting with the discomfort of saying no and possibly disappointing others, that really took or is taking work on my nervous system to be okay with that. Because I noticed that from childhood, I was always a peacemaker, I was a diplomat, I was the shining star child, because I didn't want to add any more pain to my already dysfunctional family dynamic. But that also meant that I didn't know how to say no to others. I didn't even know how to say yes to me, because I didn't even know what my yes was. What my sense of self was. So I kept on overextending and overdoing and betraying myself. And it eroded me psychically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, bodily, everything. It really did. I've noticed that, it's just like a silly example. That's why it's so important, or it's so useful to journal about it, because we can really look at that. Somebody borrowed a vacuum cleaner from me and quickly used it, and then afterwards the partner asked, "Oh, but did you," asked the person, "did you clean the filter?" And the person said no. And I immediately went in and said, "Oh, it's okay, it's fine." I checked with myself afterwards. I'm like, why did I jump in like that quickly? Because it wasn't really fine. I did actually I would have preferred it if the person had cleared the filter, because he was the one who used it to clean the carpet. Why am I going to clean up someone else's trash? I mean, it's just a small act of courtesy, but a valid one. So I went inside and sat with it, and I realized that is one of my ways of trying to diffuse discomfort or possible conflict or disharmony in my outer world. At whose cost? At my cost. And I'm done with that. Striking out self-betrayal, highlighting self-honoring. If it feels true to me, it's valid. I communicate that. If something feels off, That's already a warning from my system that it's not in resonance with me, whether it's my highest good or my needs are not being met or being trespassed or whatever. I need to communicate that. So saying no to others and not immediately appeasing other people, not being responsible for someone else, nor their emotions, nor their actions, is huge. Yeah, it's a learning process. The more I do it though, and the more I become aware of that, the easier it gets. I relinquish my responsibility for others. Again, we're not responsible for others, we're responsible to others. And that only happens when we are in our highest expression and in our highest self-love resonance. Another question was, can you say yes to you? Which is the flip side, no? Are you investing time in yourself? Are you investing yourself? First I thought, oh, it's money. It can be if you can. I invest money in my dream analysis, in my deep coaching, but I also invest a lot of time in myself, which is not necessarily, doesn't have an immediate gratification of earning money, but I'm investing in myself to build a beautiful internal castle and to then share it with everyone. And that has real value. Because I also am looking how money comes in and out. It's just ephemeral. It's a currency. It's a way for us to, it's a symbol of that we use to trade in the world, no? But our real currency is our energy. So although I might not be earning in the short term, I am investing so much in myself, and that is the true value. It's going to be of so much value to myself and other people. So I'm creating the abundance from the inside out. Are you investing in yourself? Are you spending time with yourself? Are you connecting with yourself? Because there's no way we can self-honor ourselves if we're not connected to ourselves. And connection needs time. Slowing down, going inwards, being silent. Yeah, it's when we're connected to ourselves that we can learn to meet our own needs. And I'm still learning that. What I need to eat, what feels good, how much rest I need. Just getting to know how I actually function on a bodily, mental, spiritual level. When I know myself, then I can meet those needs and not manipulate others into meeting those needs that I should be meeting myself first. Yeah. Last question. Another question was, am I able to see the difference between love and self-compromise? That was a powerful one. What is self-compromise anyway? How does it feel? It feels miserable. It's when we're depleted, overextended, when we feel resentment against other people because we haven't honored ourselves first. That is self-compromise. Self-love comes with the connection to ourselves. How do I actively love myself? That was a good one also. How do I actively love myself? Because love is not a concept, it's action, resonance, a state of being. What am I doing in my daily life that reflects my self-honoring and my self-love? How am I actively nurturing myself? No more self-sacrifice. It doesn't serve anyone. If anything, it perpetuates this belief that we are responsible for other people while depleting ourselves and actually then blocking the other person's growth, because by overextending ourselves, we are doing things that they should be doing in their own self-accountability, in their own self-power. So there's just this depletion on all ends, on all sides. We cannot care for others if we're exhausted. Have you not had that? When you're totally exhausted, can you take on more responsibility? No. First, you need to rest and retank and replenish and rejuvenate, regenerate. Nobody benefits from self-sacrifice, absolutely. It might benefit someone in the short term, It might even provide short-term relief because you're like, oh, like I said earlier with the vacuum cleaner, ooh, I've diffused the situation. But that's just carpet sweeping and denying the real problem. Meaning I wasn't congruent with what I was really feeling. And self-sacrifice blocks other people from their self-growth. So let's not get into this trap of thinking, yeah, I'm doing this for the other person. Yes, but they need, no, that's enabling. It takes so much self-reflection to realize those patterns. And again, self-reflection is not to judge us into shame. That is not the point. I'm not ashamed that I ate half a jar of peanut butter. I think it's quite funny, actually. It's not good or bad. It's whatever meaning we assign to it. The point is, how does it make us feel, and where is it coming from, this deeper root cause? That is my stance. Always go to the root. Symptoms will keep on coming up if we haven't dealt with the core wound, with the core blocked emotion that keeps on surfacing in hurts, aches, pains, foggy mind. The world is asking that of us now, to deal with the root causes. And the universe is squeezing every one of us. Like, okay, you think you're outsourcing your safety on money? Poof, I'm going to make you go broke. You think your safety lies in a relationship? Poof, it's all going to go to hell. To make us realize that we are the creators, that we need to reclaim our power, our sovereignty, our health, mental, spiritual sovereignty, and to create from that space of self-honoring and self-love. No more outsourcing of power, of authority, waiting to be rescued by the authorities, by the government, by the president. No more relaying our power into the shadow and then projecting it en masse, this feeling of powerlessness by some horrendous act that we are capable of. We are capable of extreme atrocities. There's several studies on that. I'm not even going to go into that. But it's time to snap out of this thought that I must be a good citizen, good, abide, obey, betray, suppress, reject. Time to break free from that. And I don't mean we have to crumble all structures, but we have to purify structures. That starts with ourselves. Purify, release patterns that don't work anymore. And still work within a structure, but within a structure that is healthy and wholesome and beneficial for all. Okay, my last point. Gosh, sorry, so long. A lot of people are scared of these pyramid schemes, but according to what I'm observing, this whole matrix, there's a huge pyramid scheme where there's a few people marionetting everything around us, the monetary system, the food production, and we buy into that because we're afraid to actually say something, do something, not saying that in general, but we prefer to stay in the shadow. And the shadow can only be suppressed to a certain extent before it comes exploding into an uncontrollable event. And that actually creates destruction of structures that themselves are not good or bad. They're just toxic maybe or dysfunctional. So we don't need to blow down all of these structures, but purify them by going inside. Allowing, accepting, loving, allowing, accepting. Integrating. Light of our awareness growing bigger and bigger and bigger. I haven't even pulled a card yet. Okay. That was a long one. Maybe start talking about structure. I feel I have so much material. I'm going to give myself a little bit of structure and then anchor it in one theme. So I can rotate or free flow around that one theme, not go in all directions. See, some structure is useful, but it's how we use it, just like anything, like any tool, internet, everything is a tool, but how do we use it? Ça, c'est la question. Bon, I haven't used the original Rider-Waite deck for eons, because I went all crazy on my other decks. So how about we ask the Rider-Waite Tarot. What would be a good question? What energy, since the end of the year, what energy needs to be released right now? For you watching, for me? Thank you. What energy needs to be released? Wow. Oh, 1 second. Okay, there's 2 cards. Whoa, I love it. Okay, we have the High Priestess and the 6 of Coins. So the question was, what needs to be released? The High Priestess, mesdames et messieurs, is everything to do with our subconscious. She is the portal, the lunar goddess, who is between the paradox of black and white, who is immersed, look at her feet, she's immersed with the prima materia, in touch with the prima materia, water, the intelligence of the subconscious, of the all. She is the mystic, the mysterious. She is, what we carry in our subconscious. The wise voice inside of us that asks to be heard, the subconscious that asks to be felt, the feelings, the emotions that were blocked and rejected into our subconscious are asking to be felt and released. We have a new moon in Capricorn coming up on the 23rd. Working with the moon is fantastic. You can invoke the High Priestess and ask her to help you see what needs to be released, see what needs to be allowed and accepted. And ask her to help you reconnect with that wisdom that lies deep within you. She's the lunar goddess, the silent, the mysterious one, the non-rational. She will help you allow your emotions to flow again, those stuck emotions that are blocked in your body and that come out in pains and aches, mental illness. Invoke her to help you step into the flow again. Let the emotions flow again. Isn't that a beautiful card? And the other one is the 6 of Pentacles. 6 of Pentacles is all about give and take. What needs to be released, what needs to be allowed for is a stream, very much to do with the High Priestess, a flow of energy, honoring ourselves, honoring our gifts, offering them, giving them to the world, and allowing others to receive them will activate others to do the same. We are like fractals, no? If one energetic fractal enlightens, there is more likelihood of others enlightening. Is it the 21st monkey syndrome also? We are really connected. So the more of us who shine our light, the more others will be allowed and trust into shining their own light, because they will see, oh, it is safe to shine my light. My light is needed in the world. Giving and taking takes practice and learning. I'm learning that in my conscious community also, which is amazing. I thought I knew how to give and how to receive, but I have blocks also. I didn't feel worthy enough in the past to just be worthy because I am, without having to do stuff or prove my worth. I'm just worthy because I exist. I'm worthy of help. I'm worthy of abundance. I'm open to receive abundance. Do I feel worthy enough of receiving this abundance that is my birthright? Take some learning. I encourage you to join conscious communities which are containers to put into practice this higher vibration, this new paradigm of collaboration, of abundance. We need to practice embodying these vibrations and applying them in the real world. Are you able to give without losing yourself, without betraying yourself? Are you able to give from a full cup? And are you able to receive love, support, encouragement, abundance? Or do you reject it because inside you don't feel worthy? You don't feel solid and rich enough inside. So there's nothing, even if you win the lottery, you will lose it because you actually don't feel worthy inside. Isn't that terrible? Can we learn to give and take truly in an interdependent dynamic rather than codependent dynamic? That is what the energies are asking us to release and to allow. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, basta la pasta. Are we singing today? I gotta get a message through. I don't know where we're going. I wrap my arms around your naked shoulders. Take cover for the night. I see you in the morning sun. Step inside and lay beside me. And tender, can you close my eyes and blind me? Or give us just a smile before I fade to silver, silver blue for you. Before I fade to silver, silver blue for you. Acapella, karaoke, magic mail, I love it. And by the way, this stick comes from my, what do you call this thing? Sound singing bowl. Okay, it's not just some random stick. Y con esto acabamos. I hope something resonated. Communicate with me. Is this stuff useful? I'd love to hear your opinion, your comments, your thoughts. Like my videos so the algorithm of YouTube puts me in the mainstream, not mainstream, in the general flow of YouTube videos available out there. Subscribe to my channel. Do look back on my channel, on my episodes also, because you can see how I have evolved in my 100 and pico videos. I'm a work in progress. I'm refining myself. I started the channel by getting over my perfectionist mindset of, oh, I need a strategy. I said, screw that. I'm just going to start and do it in the moment, because that's where our power lies, right here, right now. Don't block yourself from your own creativity, thinking that one day I will be ready. Just do it and adjust while you go along and float along, and enjoy the process also. How about that? Vale. Subscribe to my channel, share with friends and family, comment and like, and donate if you're so inclined. It definitely helps my channel and the energy of give and take to flow between us. Vale? Sending you infinite love and infinite gratitude. Owl and I have your back. Remember, I'm Magic Mel. My channel is Mel's Magic. C'est la crème de la crème. Ciao.